Hey friends, Catherine here, playing with resin to make a pendant today. I've got a bottle of UV resin and a UV flashlight and a bit of shiny paper cardstock for my background and a bottle cap for my bezel. It did have a rubbery seal thing in the top of this, but I gouged that out with an X-Acto knife because I wanted it to have a flat back. That way it gives me just a little bit more depth inside of the bottle cap. And then today we are going to be setting watch parts. I've got this little container of watch parts and we're going to be setting watch parts inside of it. Ooh, that's too big for that space, but I like that. Anyway, first things first. Ooh, maybe a mirror for a background? That could be fun. Oh, that's great. I kind of love that. But I don't know if it would leave enough room for the watch parts. We will save that idea for another day. For something else. For something awesome. Feathers, maybe? Who knows? We'll have to see. Anyway, first thing that we want to do is lay down the thinnest layer of resin possible. So I've got a... Oh, actually, no. Before we even do that, we're going to prep our background paper because this isn't cut to size. So for prepping the background paper, we're going to grab a bit of colored pencil and just line up our bottle cap on the piece of paper and trace around the bottle cap. Go. Okay. And then I'm going to cut on the inside of that traced line so that I'm not leaving any of the line there and it ends up just a little bit smaller than what we traced. But still hopefully something like round and approximately the right size. Maybe hopefully kind of sort of. We'll see what we get. Okay. Circle cut out of paper. It's got like this fun lines flowing through it. That's not a bad thing. Did turn out a little bit small though, but I think it'll be all right. Once we set the resin in, I don't think you'll be able to tell that it's too small. And it's only slightly too small. Only a little bit. Okay. Now we're gonna put just the thinnest layer of resin in the bottom with a paintbrush that I use for resin, so I don't mind if I get more resin in it. Because resin will stay in your brushes. It is almost impossible to clean it out. Just the facts of life. Okay, and a little bit more resin because there's not enough there for it to self-level. And we do want it to self-level at least a little bit. There we go. Okay, and then scrape the rest of that back off into the bottle. I picked up a little bit too much there. Okay, and then just kind of flatten it out a little bit and encourage it to be more or less sort of something like level, and then set our brush aside for a moment and put a little bit of light on that. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want to have a pocket of resin between the paper and the back of the bottle cap. And with UV resin, it won't cure if the UV doesn't touch it, and the UV is not going to get through the paper. So we've got to put a little bit of resin back there and cure it first. Got to do it in layers. If you're using 2-part resin for this, you can just drop a bit of resin in the back and then toss your paper on top and you're good to go. Because it will cure without needing UV. So it would be just fine. But for the UV resin, we want to put some UV on that sucker. Okay, that's probably enough. It's not going to be set, but it is going to be hard enough. So we'll just stick our paper down and then take and grab some more resin and plop it on top. Might even pour some out of this bottle. Let's see if we can pour it with any kind of control. I tend not to have very much control when pouring out of this bottle, but we'll see. Okay. Maybe a little bit more. Just slowly and gently filling it up just a little bit. I don't want it to be entirely full, because if it's entirely full, then when we drop the watch parts in, it'll overflow, and we don't need that. So, there we go. Something similar to full, but not quite. And then wipe our brush off again. And now, for the fun watch parts part of this whole thing. Let's set that brush aside. I don't think we will need that brush anymore, or the resin anymore, I should say. So let's get our resin out of the way here too. And then grab a tiny pair of tweezers so that we can position the watch parts into the resin. Go. Oop. There we go. Get the air bubbles out from behind there. Perfect. Okay. Then pop that real quick. All right. And then I've got this part, but we already decided we didn't want to use it. And I've got this like watch face one, which might be kind of fun. Yeah, let's go ahead and use that watch face one and see. That might make it too full. We'll see. No, that'll be all right. Okay. Press it in. Encourage the resin over the top of it. Okay. Maybe pop some more bubbles. Perfect. And then let's get these other bigger pieces out of the way for the moment and see what else we have that we like. I really like this little gear thing. Can you see that? That I think is super cute. So let's toss that in next to it. Ooh, it's a little large for the space, but we'll make it work. We're gonna fill this thing up with watch parts. It'll be fun. Okay. And then I think even smaller things. So we'll get those larger gears out of the way and find maybe like a tiny spring or some hands, or let's see. Ooh, there's a tinier gear. Not gonna be able to get it. Let's see. There we go. Okay, like right there maybe. And there's a tiny little washer. Okay. There are tiny, tiny, just itty bitty watch pieces in the bottom of this little cup. They're amazing to me how small they are. Like, let's just pick up a random assortment of those and drop them in here. See if we can get them in and kind of spread out maybe. That could be fun. Pick up some more. And just kind of plop them in and around. And then maybe I think some of them up over the clock face, because resin, part of why resin is such a great tool is that it allows you to create three-dimensional things, which is wonderful. So you can layer things in it. They don't all just have to sink to the bottom and set on the back. Ooh, maybe some hands. There we go. All right, that'll do it. Okay, and I think that's it. Let's check and make sure everything is covered by the resin, not necessarily sunk all the way down, but covered, and then blast it with the light. And while that light's on there, let's put the rest of our stuff back away for another day. Okay. Because we can always come back to this and make something else with the rest of these things. Something wonderful with this, I'm sure. That, I think, is gorgeous. And it's got tiny little writing on it, too. That I can't even... it's an electricity measurement. It says 15 joules. So this watch ran off of a battery that needed 15 joules, apparently. Oh, but there are also like rectangular ones, and that housing is amazing. Like just all the different layers that watches are built in. Which is another thing why resin is so good for setting watch parts in, because watches themselves come in different layers. So you can set the different layers in the resin. Oh, look at that. There's a tiny, tiny little spring here. Let's see if I can see that itty bitty coil right there. Isn't that just, that's just so cool. It is so amazing to me how small that is. Oh. For a second there, I thought it was going to be gone. And that should be it. Is anything moving around? No, it's not. It seems to be set. So that is what we did today, friends. Take a look at that. That is cool. I like that. I'm going to put a pin in it and wear it as a necklace, I think. If you guys liked this, definitely leave a like. Remember to subscribe, and I will see you all another day. Bye!